Ever scroll through your news feed and,
See two totally different headlines about like the same exact event.
oh yeah,
It's like, how are we even supposed to know what's true anymore?
you're not alone in feeling that way. It's like we're kind of drowning in information,
Yeah.
especially online,
Right?
trying to grab onto something solid.
And that is where fact-checking comes in, right? Today, we're diving deep into the world of fact-checking with RoleCatcher's career guide, Fact Checker.
Right.
And we'll be looking at some more general information on their website as well.
Okay.
See how their AI platform is kind of shaking things up.
It'll be like a behind-the-scenes look at how truth is discovered.
And defended in the age of digital information.
What I find fascinating is that most people think that fact-checking is all about catching typos,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't entirely wrong,
Okay.
but it's just the tip of the iceberg.
You're telling me
Mm-hmm.
RoleCatcher doesn't mess around at all with their definition.
They call fact-checkers meticulous researchers.
Who leave no stone unturned.
I don't think I've ever even been called meticulous in my entire life.
Right, and there's a reason for that. You know, that level of meticulousness.
Think about it. The rise of digital media has been phenomenal in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but it's also made it really, really easy to spread misinformation.
Which explains why we need more fact checkers now than ever, right? RoleCatcher actually found that the industry is on track for a 3% growth rate, which is
Yeah,
good news for anybody out there thinking about this as a career path.
it is. And, you know, when you really dig into the skills needed,
Yeah.
it makes sense why those jobs are in demand.
Okay.
We're not talking about grammar gurus here.
Oh, absolutely not.
RoleCatcher goes way beyond the surface.
Right.
They talk about strong analytical skills,
Vertical thinking.
even just like understanding how to use different research methodologies.
And we can't forget those all-important communication skills.
That's right.
You need to be able to explain sometimes very complicated information
Right.
in a way that's both easy to understand and compelling.
Even when what you're explaining is difficult for people to hear.
Right. Those are some seriously valuable skills, and that goes way beyond journalism. You could apply that to so many different areas. It really is. It's true. You hear a lot about critical thinking these days,
Right.
but it seems more important than ever now with
Yeah.
how to navigate the digital world.
And speaking of navigating, I'm curious about how technology plays into all of this.
Right.
I mean, even RoleCatcher is like a perfect example of how AI is kind of like changing the game here.
It's an interesting dynamic for sure, because on the one hand, you have these
Yeah.
AI tools that can process like mountains of data in seconds.
Right.
And that kind of power can really help streamline a fact checker's research,
Wow.
help them spot inconsistencies that maybe a human would miss.
It's mind-blowing. I was reading on RoleCatcher site, they were saying their platform uses AI to analyze job descriptions and then suggest improvements for your CV.
Wow.
They even have a feature that helps you practice for interviews.
Those are really impressive advancements, and I think they really highlight how much potential AI has to really transform this field.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
We can't forget about the human element.
Because even with all the fancy algorithms and all that,
Right.
AI can't replace good old-fashioned human judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fact checkers have a responsibility to make sure that their work is unbiased
Right.
and that it's rooted in really solid research.
Mhm.
And that takes critical thinking and an understanding of context,
Sure.
which are things that AI just can't replicate, at least not yet.
So it's more about finding that synergy between the human expertise
Right.
and what AI can do.
It's about working collaboratively with these advancements.
Okay.
So I think, for anybody listening who's considering a career in fact-checking,
Yeah.
learning how to navigate that evolving landscape is going to be essential.
So what are some practical steps that someone could take to kind of break into the world of fact-checking?
Yeah, so RoleCatcher actually gives some really good advice.
Okay.
They emphasize hands-on experience,
Okay.
first and foremost, and that can be through internships, through research projects, or even volunteering for publications.
Nice. Yeah.
It's all about just kind of getting your feet wet.
Get out there and dig up the truth.
Exactly. And it doesn't just stop there. The field is constantly changing, so continuous learning is key.
Right.
Staying up to date on new research methods and tools is really critical.
Oh.
That could be through taking online courses, attending workshops, or following reputable sources in the field.
It's like any other profession where you've got to invest in your development.
Right.
And I imagine building a really strong portfolio is important too, to showcase your work,
Absolutely.
along with networking with other people in the field.
All of those elements are crucial for
Yeah.
kind of establishing yourself, and they're highlighted in RoleCatcher's advice sections on getting started and elevating your career. And they really stress being proactive and showing your dedication to accuracy.
This has been incredibly insightful, but I have to ask,
Yeah.
even if someone isn't planning on becoming a full-time fact checker,
Right.
are there any takeaways here that kind of apply more broadly?
Yeah.
I mean, most people aren't going to go out and get a job verifying facts,
Yeah.
but we could all use those skills in our day-to-day lives.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we're all amateur detectives or something
Trying to piece together information.
from all different sources
Right.
to figure out what's really going on.
It's a great way to put it. And just good detectives, we need to be skeptical.
We need to be asking those tough questions, like who benefits from this information being out there?
Right.
What are the sources' biases, even if they're unintentional?
It's so easy to forget about those biases, especially when something just lines up perfectly with what you already think.
Right.
We're all guilty of confirmation bias.
Absolutely.
To some extent.
And that's why it's so important to kind of diversify our information diets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't just stick to the same news outlets
Right.
or the same sources all the time.
Right.
Venture out. Explore different perspectives. Pay attention to how those different perspectives shape the information that's being presented.
It's like building a more well-rounded understanding.
Exactly.
Of everything.
And remember, it's okay to change your mind
Yeah.
when you're presented with new information.
Right.
That's a sign of growth, not weakness.
Totally. You know what's funny is this whole conversation reminds me of something you said earlier about how those core fact-checking skills.
Can be useful in other areas of life.
Right.
I feel like what we're talking about now is kind of that inaction.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's about empowering yourself to be a more discerning consumer of information.
Right.
Whether you're reading a news article.
Scrolling through social media or even just having a conversation with a friend.
So we can all benefit from incorporating a little bit of that fact-checking mindset into our lives.
It's not about becoming cynical.
Or distrusting of everything that you hear.
Right.
But it's about approaching information with a healthy dose of curiosity.
And a healthy dose of critical thinking.
Questioning what we see and read.
Right.
Considering different angles. Not being afraid to dig a little deeper to find the truth.
Well said.
It's something we can all strive for.
Absolutely. It's about becoming more informed and more engaged citizens in this increasingly complex world.
It really is.
Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive.
It has.
It's given us a lot to think about.
So to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the evolving world of fact-checking.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope you've learned some valuable insights.
And maybe even feel inspired to kind of
embrace your inner fact-checker in your everyday life.
Remember, staying curious is key.
Yes.
Until next time, keep asking those questions.
That's right.
And never stop seeking the truth.
We'll see you next time.